Hello YouTube. This video is going to be about the HornBlaster Stealth Spare Tire Delete Kit. This is going to be a step-by-step instructional video on how to do it. These are going to be all the parts that come with the kit for installation. It includes everything you need from mounting hardware to the electrical. We'll be going over it step by step, putting it together. Alright, so this is going to be our first step. We're going to get the plate on the table. We're going to add the feet first. It's going to be the rubber grommet, the bolt, the lock washer, the long nut, and then a washer and nut. That's going to be on all four corners. Then we're gonna put this center plate in. Everything's loose right now. Same orientation with the bolts, washers on both sides. And we're gonna put the tank in, and that is gonna be the same thing as well. And with a washer. Okay, so the next step has been completed. We mounted the air compressor. You're gonna have to loosen this piece up to slide it in. And there's 3 bolts holding this together. These bolts, they actually separate, and there's a spring in the middle. The next thing we did is we mounted the horns. Now, the longer side framing is gonna be for the 2 larger horns, and they'll only fit one way. And then, of course, the smaller side framing is going to fit the smaller horns. The last thing we did is mount this airflow bypass. And now we are going to start with the more intricate stuff. So these are the fittings that are included with the kit. Now these fittings seem to all be just push-on applications. For the hose that's provided as well. We're going to start from the beginning. You have your overflow valve right here. This is your air dump. This is going to be just a larger diameter fitting, which they only give one of. There's 4 smaller ones. Then this is the split one that all the hoses go into. And then we have these 3. All right, we're going to get into the fitting locations now. We'll start with the tank. So the tank, there's a couple different variations. I'm just gonna do the one that I have. It depends on how you are going to mount it, but since this one is gonna be mounted the opposite way, you have to put this drain plug at the bottom for any water and moisture that ends up at the bottom of the tank. So for the rest of the tank, this is going to be the outlet to the diaphragm that makes the horn work. And then on this side, this is going to be the inlet, the fill of the tank. On the pictures, it shows that I should have an angle fitting here, but I do not have that. So I'm not sure what that's about, but it's okay. Still looks good. The other side is already connected to the motor. Now on the other side of the tank, right here, this is going to be basically the brain of the unit. It's going to check how much pressure is in here and then do all that fun stuff. And then this is the gauge right here to the tank. Now, going to the rest of the unit. Okay, so now on the bottom of the tank, or in this case, the top of the tank, this is gonna be your overflow valve. So when you get too much pressure in the tank, it will self-open. I'm not sure what the spring is set to. I didn't read the side, but it should be all set up for this kit. These are the other 2 fittings. This is gonna be your larger push-in fitting, and this is going to be your multi-port fitting. Now this fitting is going to jump us to our other fittings. which is gonna be on each side of the horn. There's gonna be, we have those 4 small fittings, so they're on every side. Now make sure that you use the provided thread tape. Make sure you use the provided thread tape on all of these fittings so you have no air leaks. The last part that was a little interesting was the air filter for the compressor. It's this little guy right here. So the air just flows through the back and then goes into the compressor. So now that we have all the fittings all hand tight all the way around the unit, we're gonna start plumbing it now. So I'm gonna go over how to cut each of these and get the job done. Okay, so we finally have a finished product. I'm gonna go through the final step, which is the plumbing of it. You come close. You're gonna take 4 of your supplied lines, and then you're gonna run it to each and every one of the ports. And then once all the ports are ran, you're gonna run your main one. And then you're just gonna go through and you're going to tighten all the fittings up to hand torque. Make sure you have the nylon tape on it. And then once that's done, I went through and I tightened up all the bolts that hold everything together so it's a nice and solid unit. And then now we just have to throw it under the truck and wire it up. Okay, so we are at the car and all the wiring is ran. There's about 3 main wires that you need to run. Let's go ahead and start with the power wire, which is going to be this main wire right here. Now everything is labeled. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Connect to fuse 12 volt. So they provide all the connectors. So this is, and the wires. So this is what we're connecting it to. Now, as you see, I ran all of them to the front of the car and they will be tucked and zip tied. So as we go to the front, I'm gonna show you that. It's ran up by the fuse box, right through the fender well. All the wires are ran. So we're gonna take the red one. In this particular scenario, it's a Lincoln Navigator, so I just ran it across the top. And then we're gonna hook it into our fuse. There's a 30 amp fuse in here. You are gonna have to cut this and split it where you want. And then you're gonna have to put the terminal at the end. This is just gonna bolt right up to there, and then we'll have our power. So the second piece that we're looking at is going to be to the actual horn. It's this gray wire. Now in this scenario, the original horn is located at the bottom of the vehicle. So we'll get under there. I'll show you how I connected it to the horn so you can do it too. All right, so we're under the vehicle. These are the factory horns right here. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna find the multicolored wire on the plug there, and the kit includes these splicing mechanisms. So basically you're just going to take your wire, you're just going to slide it over the multicolored one, push it in there, there's a big metal pin, clamp down the pin, put over the cover, and you're done. So that's it for the horn. So now when we hit the horn, it will activate it and then it'll use the train horn. So now I'm going to show you the constant wire that's powered on when the vehicle's on, and then I'll show you where that's at next. One thing I forgot to mention, that gray wire we were just talking about, it actually goes to the solenoid, the red wire on the solenoid. You'll just have to butt clamp it together, but that's where that goes. So now with our constant wire right here, this is going to be powered on when the vehicle is powered on. Basically tells this whole mechanism that it's on, the car's on, we're ready to go. Now that is actually going to go to this right here, connect to key, power on. Now the only other thing you are going to have in the back of here is you're going to have a couple grounds. Let's see, there's 1, 2, that one's for the compressor, and then 3 right here. You're gonna have to mount those to the frame somewhere, and then you're all set there. Now the hardest part I had with this vehicle is finding the wire that is key on, power on, and not a trickle line. So by trickle line, I mean that it has a sustainable amount of power to it. So what I found that was closest, that would look nicest, is this wire right here. And then it just connected to this and it's spliced in. So that way when the key's on, this gets constant 12 volts and it powers on your horn. So I inserted the spare tire carrier into the center of the frame, and there's a little mount at the bottom that it slides through, and then we're going to begin to jack it up into place. Okay, so it's all mounted up into place. This is just kind of the roll around of how it should look. You've faced the horns out to the side of the vehicle, so that way when you hit them, it's not going straight into your cab, because it will. Goes out the side, and then I adjusted the feet up there. I don't know if I can see them. There they are. I adjusted the feet to create a secure footing for it, basically. All right, let's get it wired up, finished wired up, and let's do it. All right, so the project is complete. Just a little recap. This is how it looks. We have the gray wire that works the horn. We have the on-off switch, so you could use your horn normally if you wanted to. We have the main power that went here. I just ran it real quickly over the top. I tied it into a constant power right here when the vehicle's on. Just ran it down to the side. And then I ran it to the side here, all the way down over here. Alright, so I ran it all the way down the side, just using zip ties all the way to the back. And then if we go further down, I just drilled it to this little metal fender, inner fender well, down to the inside, and then I'll show you the back. So then I just ran it on the inside, and then I just took my time, tried to make the wiring as clean as possible. I ran my grounds right there up top, and yeah, that's it. So now we're just gonna fire it up, see how it sounds, this finished product. So this is gonna be a test on the train horn. The tank's pretty much full, and now we're gonna give it a go, see what it does. Alright, so that wraps up this HornBlasters install. I hope you liked it. I hope it helps you on your project. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.